People say, which happened after 9/11, the first big walleye, I mean, again, this kind of global line that allowed everybody, including the George Tenets of the world, the president, all the way down to lowly, like myself, mid-management person. If we made a mistake at that level, and as well as even the lowest security official of watching a terrorist walk through security, or a visa stamper. You know, the State Department sent a visa. We talked about the Pentagon and some of the egregious things. The State Department sent a visa to Mohammed Atta 2 months after 9/11. Do you know that? Yeah, actually the media covered it. It was a short thing, but again, because nobody has a long attention span, that's how poor a lot of different things in a whole gamut and variety of government agencies was. But you don't know those things. You don't know the real mistakes. No one does. We know this myth that came in to fill the truth of some of these really lapses and flaws. Okay, well, my caveat, I was going to start off by telling what I'm not an expert on. I'm not an engineer, I'm not an architect, so when people ask me about buildings falling and stuff, I actually will just opt right out of that from the start and say that's not my area. I have zero ability. I'm not an economics background. I did clap out in college of macro and microeconomics, but to explain some of I know that there were stock transactions and things like that. I can't opine on those things. What I am okay on is, and when I wrote the memo, I did not even know of the wider mistakes in the FBI. I wrote a 12-page memo in May of 2002 because I knew that they were not telling the full truth about the Moussaoui case. After 9/11, it was accepted to say that we could not have prevented 9/11. Now, if you go with that idea, everyone said it. Condi Rice stood up immediately and said no one would have known planes could ever fly into buildings. And the FBI director, who I feel sorry for, he was only director for 1 week before 9/11, he said we had no idea, no clues, no prior knowledge of anyone plotting something like this. And he continued to say that despite calls. I actually tried to call once or twice, several times actually, in that 3.5-week period before it leaked to Newsweek that there actually was a terrorist suspect. So actually one of our people in the FBI was testifying to Congress, and Michael Isikoff, who had written this article, the guy's asking questions from the article, and the FBI guy didn't know that the case had leaked a little bit. My title is Dribs and Drabs, the truth, dribs and drabs, and of course the downside is that's all we have right now. The 9/11 Commission itself admits it was not told the truth, so the full and complete truth does not exist. But on the good side, and this is something I think is lost on many people, because when you are seeking, of course, as an idealistic way, thinking that we need the full truth. And there is no such thing. I will tell you, in law enforcement, even the best case, when you have evidence, every which way, crossways and whatever, it's still not the complete truth. Even, 400 years later, a historical fact is not the full and complete truth. I used to have a magnet on my refrigerator that was a picture of Gandhi, and it was the quote, "Truth is the highest God." And to me, that means that the truth is something that is an ideal that we can never actually get, like God. I mean, you can never understand the full truth. But we can, but it also means that it is something that should be prized and valued. And it should be something that we seek to the maximum extent to get the full truth. And right now, really all we have are dribs and drabs. Well, when I got my chance, 8 months, when I didn't know I was going to get to go to Washington and talk to these staffers that were starting, despite Bush and Cheney's reluctance to have any inquiry. They had been allowed under Pentagon control. The woman who was in charge of this was a Pentagon analyst who actually did a pretty good job, Eleanor Hill. She was one of the first brave people to actually try. They had started the Joint Intelligence Committee. And I got this call that, Coleen, could you go to Washington and tell the staffers for the Joint Intelligence Committee what you know about the Moussaoui case. It's a legal issue because of probable cause to search. And so I went, oh my goodness, I get this chance. And I knew I was seeing television. I was seeing the Joint Intelligence Committee members on C-SPAN not even close to asking the correct questions. They were way out in left field. I remember seeing Grassley, and I thought, oh my gosh, they're not even on track. I saw a couple of articles in the paper, and I thought, well, if I tell them, maybe this will just help them ask the right questions. That's actually what my goal was. I was hoping that they would read this memo and ask the right questions. And so I had a couple of days, I couldn't sleep. I went to the office and I said, I know when I talk, as I'm doing today, I'm going to forget something. I got ambushed by ABC yesterday when I was here 10 minutes, just standing there. Young girl came up to me and nice smile on her face. I'm from ABC. Would you talk with us? And of course, I had no time to know. No one told me it's a hit job and that they were going to come on like O'Reilly Factor. I mean, this guy that was incredible. And so when that happens, I hope I said something that made sense. But I got really shocked by the attack. And so we'll probably see on Nightline or one of these shows Coleen Rowley looking like an absolute idiot. Who knows? I'm sure they'll do their best job. Well, I was afraid that if I talked to the staffers, I would forget something. It is hard when you're on the spot. So at the last minute, I said, I'm going to write it down. Because if I forget something, and when I got done talking to them for a couple of hours in FBI space and with FBI minder in the room, the person who was doing it questioning said, well, Coleen, we're done here. You've told us a lot. But is there anything else you would like to tell us? And I said, and I pulled it out. I said, well, if I did forget anything, I wrote it in this memo. And then I handed it to them. They went, oh my gosh, we got this memo to read now. and then really just a day before I came, I started to worry that the staffers, and I'll tell you later about what this really amounted to, but the staffers were retired CIA, Secret Service, and FBI. Because to be on a Joint Intelligence Committee, you got to have these clearances with secrecy clearances. So they hired retired people. Well, a lot of the retired people in government have really a strong agenda and a reason not to tell the full truth either. Their livelihoods and their ability to earn good income in the kind of the revolving door out there depends on keeping the reputation of their prior agency. And a lot of people, it's just pure loyalty. So then I determined that I would go even a couple of steps further than just the staffers, and I made the memo to the FBI director, which is very legit. The poor guy knew nothing about 9/11. He was 1 week in the FBI when it happened. I added our internal affairs, and I added directly the two of the senators on the Joint Intelligence Committee, all of whom have clearances, our own FBI. After the day later, when this leaks out, CNN, I'm hearing back from people in headquarters that I'm going to be fired.